What's happening, Hardscapers? Today we're answering why are there white stains on my pavers. Let's get into this. So there are two reasons why there are white stains on your pavers. We're going to be answering those as well as offering some solutions. So let's get started with number one here. It could be and is most likely due to efflorescence. Now we have a video talking about efflorescence and how to clean efflorescence, and I'll link those in the description below. But efflorescence is a common occurrence in concrete. It's a byproduct of concrete. It's just basically minerals that work their way to the surface based on moisture. So water works its way into the concrete, and over time that water moves its way through to the surface of that concrete as the sun shines on it, and it dissolves those minerals within the concrete and then pulls those minerals to the surface of the concrete, and that results in this white staining on the surface of that paver, concrete, whatever it might be. So ultimately it's due to the presence of moisture, and especially if this is white stains coming from the palate of your pavers, it's typically because the pallets are wrapped in a plastic, and that leads to condensation, and that water, that moisture works its way through the pavers and eventually just causes a lot of efflorescence to show on the pavers. That's usually indicative of that paver pallet sitting somewhere for a long period of time and not being used right away from production to the field. And it's not going to cause a whole lot of problems with your pavers, but it is unsightly and it does cause a whole nother step to have to clean it, and that's something that you don't typically want to do. If the efflorescence staining right from the pallet is really bad, don't start laying those. Send a photo to your supplier, to your sales rep, whoever you can reach out to. Let them know the situation and see if they can have the pallet swapped out for you or what they can do on their end. Just ask for some guidance with that. But that's only if it's really bad, from layer to layer to layer or section to section with your pavers and lots of that white efflorescence staining. If it's not too bad, just a piece here and there, I would just go ahead and use what you've got and do a washing after the construction phase, and we always recommend a post-construction washing anyways. Now if it is after the fact that you've laid the pavers and you're getting that efflorescence staining, it's likely due to drainage underneath your pavers. Now that's not a catch-all, it's not always because of that, but that can be an issue, especially if that efflorescence just keeps on reappearing. But sometimes just after laying pavers and over time with the presence of moisture, especially if there's lots of rainfall coming, you might notice a little bit more of that efflorescence staining. If it's not too bad, eventually it does kind of go away, but it's always a warning that we add into our contracts with our clients that, hey, efflorescence, it is a byproduct of concrete. It is naturally occurring. It does happen. Usually it works its way out by itself. If it's really bad, we will offer cleaning services at an additional charge. Unfortunately, as a contractor, it's not really up to me whether efflorescence shows up or not, except in the construction of the base. And this is why I talked about the drainage could be an issue, because if you do not have a proper base material underneath your pavers, efflorescence will be a recurring theme. So you definitely want a concrete sand bedding layer on top of an A gravel base material. That's a dense graded base, and that is going to offer some drainage, but not as good as an open graded base where we're using a 1/4 inch chip as our bedding layer and 3/4 inch as our base material. And that's what we prefer in my business. Though there are different applications that we'll use either one of those for, but that open graded base allows for the direct drainage of that water right underneath those pavers. So there's nothing sitting underneath our pavers to then work its way out of the system through evaporation and coming through the pavers to the top and depositing that efflorescence. You can also use a synthetic base, which is using paver base panels, and they do have drainage holes underneath them. But what you should not use is a stone dust. Stone dust is a fine dust with chip. It's basically the remnants of what the quarries go through when they're crushing aggregate, and it's just sold to get rid of it. And it compacts to the point of not letting water pass through it as well as these other base materials will, and this will cause water to sit underneath your pavers for longer periods of time. It'll cause all types of issue, including that efflorescence. Now the solution to efflorescence is, if it's a minimal problem, just let it work its way out of the system. If you need to address it in the future, you can address it, and that would be to clean it, would be the main solution here. And there are efflorescence cleaners on the market from a variety of manufacturers. Usually it's about the same recipe that goes into it, and it's typically a dilution. So you'll wet down the surface, you'll add dilution to this Efflorescence cleaner, spray it onto the surface, start scrubbing, and then rinse it away. And that allows it to dissolve that efflorescence, but we do have videos on that and links will be in the description below for this. But like I said, coming right from the pallet, if you see it is a major issue, the solution to that is contact your supplier or your sales rep. And the other reason why there might be white staining on your pavers could be because of polymeric sand haze. And this happens when the polymeric sand is swept and we do not blow it off the surface of that pavement before wetting it. And what happens is that dust, whatever we didn't get to blow off that surface, when we spray it, it becomes hardened onto the surface, it adheres to those pavers, and it causes this polymeric sand haze. Now, a lot of manufacturers say that they do not cause hazing. Some manufacturers even say that you don't even need to blow it. No matter what, we always blow the polymeric sand off the surface of our pavers. It's a very simple, easy step to do once you've gone ahead and swept, compacted, consolidated that polymeric sand to the bottom of the joint, repeating that process until you get to the 1/8 of an inch below the top of the paver or bottom of the chamfer, and then you complete that blowing to get all that dust off before you activate it with water. Simple process. If you adhere to this, you should have no polymeric sand hazing. The solution to polymeric sand hazing is to get a cleaner and clean it much like you would with the Efflorescence cleaner. And those are the two main reasons why you may have white stains on the surface of your pavers. But just as a bonus to throw in here, if you stay till the very end, the other least likely thing, and you'll know right away if this may be you, is after sealing, you might have white stains. And that could be for a variety of reasons with that sealer, but especially because there's moisture that was trapped in there and it was sealed and it wasn't a breathable sealer. So that moisture works its way through to the surface of the pavement, deposits that efflorescence, and now you get that white staining from that presence of moisture underneath your pavers or in your pavement. And that's why it's very important to get the right weather conditions with your sealing, as well as no moisture within that system when you are sealing. And unfortunately, the solution to this is to actually strip that sealer and start from fresh. Very time consuming, very labor intensive process to do this, and a lot of wasted material that goes into this if this happens. So something that you want to think about whenever you are planning to do some sealing work, get the right weather conditions for this. So just to recap, two reasons why there's white stains on your pavers. Efflorescence is a major one, as well as polymeric sand hazing. And the least likely one, but you'll know it if you have actually sealed, is just something to do with the sealing process and moisture being trapped underneath that sealer there. And I hope this video has helped you in some way. Please leave a like if it has. Comment below any questions that you may have, maybe some other staining that you may have on your pavers. I'll respond to anybody and everybody, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. Thank you so much for watching.